Now, back to Matt Patrick and your morning news.
KTRH News Time is 6:17.
This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. It is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves. And it is a message that unless you kowtow to an old order, you will be lynched, destroyed, caricatured.
Is that what's going on with Herman Cain? Joining us right now, our political insiders, Jim McGrath and Chris Begala. James, Christopher, great to have you both on this morning.
Top of the morning.
How are you?
Jim, let me start with you. You just heard Clarence Thomas, and this was, of course, during the hearings and the whole issue with Anita Hill, the accusations of sexual harassment. There was no paper trail. Nothing was able to be proven. Do you think it is a very similar situation that is taking place with Herman Cain for the same kinds of reasons, because he is a black man who is conservative? But this time, Jim, we got a bit of a paper trail, don't we?
Yeah, time will tell if there's any comparison to be made. I honestly don't think that there's, at least initially here, appears to be any racial overtones to this. He's the front runner for the presidency of the United States. And as John McCain used to say, this ain't beanbag. So whatever's in your background, and there clearly was a settlement, as Mr. Cain acknowledged last night on the Greta Van Susteren interview, that he was aware of. Mm-hmm. So, crisis communications, tell it all and tell it truthfully and tell it once if you want to limit this story. If Herman Cain continues to change his story, if more information comes out, this story is going to go on.
Chris, real quick, Republicans or Democrats digging this crap up?
Well, we don't know, and that's just a guess. One would have to assume that it is somebody who wants to hurt Herman Cain. Don't know if it's a Republican or Democrat. He is definitely up against it here. First of all, yes, this is an attack. There's no doubt about it. But as Jim mentioned, his campaign was told about this 12 days ago. 10 days before Politico hit with this story, they were told about it. They chose to ignore it. Then when it came out, they said it has nothing, no shred of truth at all. Then he said, well, let's look at it. And now he's saying, yes, there were accusations and there were settlements. And the interview last night on Greta Van Susteren was straightforward, but it was close to disastrous because he was never on message. He was unbelievably defensive, and he has not handled this situation well. Yes, he's being attacked, but he's not handling it well. He's showing his inexperience.
All right, very good. Jim McGrath, Chris Begala joining us. Gentlemen, hang on. Want to ask you how you think he should handle it going forward, and could this derail the Cain train? We'll get answers to those questions coming up in moments.
You're back with more Matt Patrick.
KTRH News Time is 6:23, and our news headlines brought to you by our friends at Allied Siding and Windows. And speaking of friends, two of our very good friends, Jim McGrath and Chris Begala, joining us. All right, Chris, let me start with you on this. Does this derail the Cain train if he can get out in front of this thing and really come forward with all of the information as he knows it?
Well, so far he hasn't done that, and it has been disastrous so far. He's got to change things, but last night in his long sit-down with Greta Van Susteren, he was unbelievably defensive. He never had a message. He should have pounded over and over and over and over again that these are baseless, this did not occur, the Restaurant Association made the settlement, and that's it. He was very lawyered up. I don't recall is what he said. Bottom line, it all depends on what comes next. It's the drip, drip, drip that'll kill you,
right,
not necessarily the frontal assault. So we'll have to see. I think he's going to get a break, but if this thing continues to drip, then yes, the Cain train is going to be off the tracks for a little while.
All right, Jim, take a listen to this.
You got a roaming eye at all?
A Roman eye?
Yeah.
I enjoy flowers like everybody else.
You know what I mean.
No, not at all.
Now, he suggested earlier that he looks, he doesn't look at women certain ways. He might look at a group of women, so on and so forth. I guess that was the reason for the weird question. Jim, let me just say this. I'm going to say it right up front. A lot of people think that black men have this sexualized kind of persona. Is that what they're throwing on Herman Cain here? Was that kind of the reason for that question, do you think?
No, I think, again, it goes back to the inherent nature of the charges themselves, the fact that there was a settlement. And I don't think I don't see that there's some kind of sinister overriding theme to get this man because of his race. I think it's the fact that he's the front right now in these national polls. Some of the statewide polls don't reflect this, but in the national polls, he is the front runner for the presidency of the United States. He's been a durable front runner compared to Michelle Bachmann and Rick Perry and some of the others.
I mean, there's polls that got him in front of Perry here in Texas.
That's right. And so the man must be vetted. I mean, don't we all want our presidents to be known? If there's anything in the background, let's get it out there. Let's see how he handles a crisis, because how Herman Cain handles this pales into comparison on what he's going to do on Mideast peace.
Right.
So let's put it all into perspective. And if he can hit this major league curveball, then maybe he is ready to be president of the United States.
All right. Excellent to have you both on as usual. Jim McGrath and Chris Begala joining us here this morning.